Welcome everyone as we learn the venerable learning of Chok Yisrael for Parshas Kedoshim, Day 4, Yom Revi. Lo yiselech rochil ba'amecha, you shouldn't be a tail-mongerer amongst your people. You shouldn't spread tales. Lo yisamoid al dam re'echa, you should not stand idly before your brother's blood. Ani Hashem, I am Hashem, says the Targum, Lo yisechel kurtzim b'amok, lo yisakum al dama dechavrach, ana Hashem. Now it says, this is a fascinating Rashi. Rashi says, what does it mean, Lo yiselech rochel? So I'm going to tell you very short that Rashi says that Chaf and Gimel are interchangeable. They come from the same guttural sound, Chaf and Gimel, and therefore it's as if it says Lo yiselech rogil, which means that a person who tends to spread tales goes into people's houses and spies on them. Omer ani, says Rashi, al shem shekol mishalkei medanim, those that start fights, mesapri lashon hara, and speak evil tidings, holchim bebate re'ayim l'ragel, they go into their friend's house to spy, ma yira ra, what they could see bad, or ma yishmu ra, what they could hear bad, l'saper b'shuk, to talk about in the market, and therefore nikroim, they're called holchei rachil, people that go to spy, which is holchei regila, like the meraglim, they go to spy, oshpi yamont balaz, v'raya ledvari, and a proof to my words is shloi matzinu rechilas she'eno ksiv b'lashon halicha. You don't find rechilas which is not accompanied with going. Leiselech rachel, you shouldn't go to spy. Holchei rachel, those that go to spy are considered like nechoshes u'bazel, copper and iron. V'shar lashon or any other type of lashon, haraeng ksiv b'halicha. It doesn't say going. Malashni b'asei sereo, to malign your friend in secret. Lashon remia, tongue of deceit. Lashon medaberes gedolos, the tongue that speaks big things. Lekach ani yomer shaloshin hoylech u'meragel. The lashon means to go and to spy. Sha'kof nechlefes begimel, because the kaf is switched with gimel. Shekol ha'osyos shemoitzi'eim b'makom echad. All letters that come from the same type of guttural sound, mischalfa zu b'zu, switched one with another, like veis b'fei, and also with a vav. Gimel b'chaf, v'kuf b'chaf, nun b'lamed, zayin b'tzadik. V'chein vayaragel ba'avdecha, he will spy on your servant. Regal v'sar, ma lemer olayra, to spy and to gather information, what to say on me evil. V'chein lo rogal al l'shayne, there's no spying upon his lips. V'chein reichel, a peddler, ha-seicher u'meragel achar kol schayra. Here's a merchant that goes and looks around for all kinds of merchandise. All those that sell perfumes for women's adornments, goes around in the cities looking for customers. Nikra roichel, lashon roigel, it's a term of spying. V'targumai, the targum on this is interesting. It's lo yisechel kurtzen. Now, kurtzen means to wink. To wink. You shouldn't eat with winking. And they spoke, they consumed with winking the Jews. Said slander by the king. They would eat in the house of those that accepted from them the slander. They would eat some small snack. V'gmar chazaka, and that's like v'gmar chayzik, that's like a confirmation. Shedvarav mekuyamim v'yamidan ala emes, that these words are acceptable and truthful. V'oisa hal'ota, and that small little meal that they eat upon the accepting of the Lashon Hara, Nikris Achilas Kurtzin, Lashon Kuritz Be'enav. It's a language of winking. Shekain Derek Kaloiche Rachel. That's the way of a peddler of gossip, likreitz beineim, to wink with their eyes, ulirmais divrei rechilusan, and to hint their slander, yavinu sha'ar shaimim, that the rest of the people should not understand it. Loisamad al dan reyacha, Rashi continues, lirais b'misasai, don't stand by and watch your friend's death, v'ata yochel atzila, and you could have saved him, k'gain teveh banar, if he's drowning in the sea, or v'chayoy listim ba'amalav, or animals or bandits are coming upon him, and you could have assisted him. Ani Hashem, I am Hashem, nemon l'shalom skar, I will reward those that come to a person's assistance, v'nemon lipara, and I will punish those that turn the blind eye. Don't hate your friend in your heart. Rather chastise your friend when you see him doing something wrong, but don't chastise him in public and embarrass him and then bear a sin. Says Rashi, don't embarrass him in public. Don't do vengeance, don't bear a grudge against the people of your nation. Love your friend like yourself, Ani Hashem. Says Rashi, now Rashi is going to explain what's the difference between vengeance and bearing a grudge. Says Rashi, if I say to you, lend me your sickle, and you tell me no. You say to me, lend me your axe. I say to you, I'm not going to lend you my axe since you didn't lend me your sickle. Zui Nakima, that's vengeance. Ve'ezui Natira, what's a grudge? Amalei Ashileni Kardumech, I say, could I lend your axe? Amalei Lav. No. Lamachar Amalei Ashileni Maglech, the next day you ask me, please, can I have your sickle? Amalei, so I say, oh look, here it is. Ve'eni Kamaischa, I'm not like you, Shalaya Shaltani, that you didn't give me the loan. Zui Natira, that means I bore a grudge for what you did to me the day before. Shenoita Ha'eva Beliba, he kept the grudge in his heart. Afal Pisha Eina Noikim, even though he doesn't do vengeance, and he does give it, but he says, I'm not like you, that's bearing a grudge. Love your friend like yourself. This is a great principle in the Torah. To do to others what we would want people to do to us. As chukaisai tishmairu, keep my statutes. You shouldn't mate your animals with mixed species. You shouldn't plant your field with mixed species. Beged koloim shatnes, wool and linen, shatnes lo yalo alecha, you shouldn't put upon you. Yas kiyamai titron birecha lo sarkiv eruvin chaklach, lo yisizra eruvin ulavush eruvin shatneza lo yisak alach. Says Rashi, as chukaisei tishmru, ve'eluhem, what are statutes? Bem techaloi sabir koloim, don't mix animals, different species, mate them. Chukim elu gzeres hamel. Statutes are decrees that we don't understand the reason. She'ein tam l'davar, we don't know why. Oveged kloyim, lamanema, why does it say it? Lefi shenema loisil b'shatnes temer pishtim yaktav. It says that you shouldn't wear shatnes, wool and linen together. Yachal lo yilbash gizei temer v'anitzei pishtin. I might think you can't even put tufts of wool together with stalks of flax. Talmud Leimer, it's only forbidden beged in a beged. Minayin l'rabas halavodim, if it's made with felt pressed together. Talmud Leimer shatnes, now dover shushua, smooth, tavi, spun, venuz, and twined. Even if it's not like a regular beged. Rashi says, what's the word nuz? What's the etymology of the word nuz? So Rashi says, "V'amani nuz lashon davar hanimlal v'shazer." It's pulled and twined. Zemzeh l'chabroi, which in Laz is moishter b'Laz. Kamay chazyin l'nuzi de isbain. See the hard seeds that are amongst them. Shanu mafashin lashon kamash, that they're hardened, placed terir, and when you pull it and twine it, it hardens. The lashon shatnez, and what's the simple meaning of shatnez? Pirish menachem, it means machberes semer apishtim, an attachment of wool and linen. And finally, today's chumash ends off v'ish ki yishkav es isha shichva zera. Now here, this is the parsha of Oshim Shivka Charufa. It's a very unusual, rare parsha. This is a man, an Eved Ivri, who is Mekudeshes to a Chatzi Shivka Chatzi Bas Chayrish. That means that there was a Shivka Kananis, Mary. Now, an Eved Ivri is allowed to sleep with a Shivka Kananis. Mary was owned by two partners, and one partner freed her. So when half of her became a regular Yisraelis. So now she's Mary / Miriam, Chatzi Shivcha, Chatzi Bas Chayrish. And she's Mekudeshes to this Eved Ivri. V'hi Shivcha necherefes le'ish. She's assigned to a Eved Ivri. But since she's not fully a Bas Yisrael, she's not fully a married woman, the hefta lo niftasa, she wasn't completely redeemed, so part of her is still a shivcha. Oh, that means she wasn't redeemed for money. Oy chupasa lo nitin la, she wasn't given a complete shtar shichra. B'kayreis tia, we should make an investigation, and she gets malchus. V'lo yumsu, but she's not put to death. If she would have been totally freed, and she would be a Bas Yisrael, that was Mekudeshes to the Eved Ivri, and now somebody slept with her, she would get death. But she doesn't get death, kiloi chupasa, because she wasn't totally freed. Ugavar, Ari Yishkav Yas Itza Shikvazar Vi Oma Achido Ligvar Vis Parakalo is Parakas Bekaspa O Jerusala is Yavas Labishtar Bikorta Teba Lo Yamusan Arilo is Hararas. Now says Rashi, as explanation of this rare case, Necherefesh Lish, Miyu Adas Miyu Chedes Lish. She's designated, this Chatzi Shivka V'Chatzi Bas Chayrish is designated to an Eved Ivri. There's no similar word in the entire Chumash. It's talking about a Shivcha Kananis that half of her was freed. So she's half Shivcha, half Bas Chayrish. She's Mary / Miriam. Hamures is Eved Ivri, that's engaged to an Eved Ivri, Shemuta b'Shivcha, Kozem Edama. The Heftalei Niftasa, she wasn't completely redeemed. Peduya, Ve'ena Peduya, only half of her was redeemed. V'stam Pidyon b'Kesef. Oy Chupasa, she wasn't fully freed with a shtar. B'Kairis Tia, he like her. She gets Malchus. V'loihu, but the one who slept with her doesn't. He's going to be Chayiv an Oshem. Yeshal Bezdin Levaker Es Hadavar. They have to research it, and if they find that she's half, Shaloi L'Chayve Mitzah, then she doesn't get the death, Kiloi Chupasa, because she was never fully freed. Then Kedushin Gemurim, the Kedushin with the Eved Ivri wasn't a complete Kedushin. Rabbi Seinu Lamdu Mikan, from the fact that it says when she gets Malchus B'Kairis Tia, there's an announcement, Shemishu B'Malchus Yeh B'Kriya, there's an announcement, Sha'adayan Ma'Malkin, the Dayanim that give the Malchus Kairin ala Loika, they announce the one that's getting flogged, if you don't keep the law, Hashem will make wondrous your flogging. She wasn't freed. There's no misa. Because the Kedushin wasn't a complete Kedushin. But if she was totally free, then she was a Bas Yisrael, then she would have been Kedeshes to Eved Ivri, then it would be a case of adultery, Kedushin, V'chayiv Misa. And the Pasuk ends, V'hevi es Hashamai, the man who sleeps with her brings a guilt offering to Hashem, it's called the Oshim Shifra Charufa el Pesach el Moed, to the door of the El Moed, El Oshem Aram as an Oshem, V'yesi Yas Hashem Kodem Hashem, Lisra Mashkan Zimna, Dichra La Hashama. Now we continue with the pasuk in Yecheskel. Remember, we were saying how the Jews sinned throughout the desert. They sinned in Egypt. V'tachaseni aleim, and I had compassion on them. Mishachasam, from destroying them in the midbar. V'lo yasisi oisam kala b'midbar, because the goyim knew I took them out. I didn't destroy them. V'omer el b'neiim b'midbar, and I said to your children in the midbar, don't follow in the ways of your ancestors. Don't do like they did, and don't defile yourself with idols. I am Hashem your God. Follow my statutes, and heed my laws. Not like they did, that they went looking for the manna on Shabbos. Sanctify my Shabbos. It will be a sign between me and you, that we should know, that you should know that I am Hashem your God. You rebelled against me. You didn't go follow my statutes, and you didn't heed my laws, to do them which a person should do and live by them. As you also desecrated the Shabbos. And I figured to pour my wrath upon me. Rashi says, they rebelled against me with the Pesel Micha, and also those that were Nitzmadim L'Baal Pa'ar, those that worship Baal Pa'ar, and did Znus with the B'nai Smayav, according to the idea of Bilam Harasha. And I said, Lishbei Chamasi Aleim L'chalois Api Bam Bamidbar, to destroy you and to destroy and operate with my wrath against you in the desert. However, once again, I held back my hand, and I didn't destroy you, L'man Shmi, for the sake of my name, that I shouldn't be, since I called you my children, that I shouldn't be desecrated, the eyes of the goyim, that I took you out before their eyes. And now Shlomo HaMelech tells us in Mishlei, Al tisalel b'yom ma'achar. Don't boast about things that you're going to do tomorrow. Oh, I'm going to make. Kiloi say to my yelad yom. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen today. You don't know if something is going to happen that is going to derail your accomplishments. Now here's a piece of advice. Yalel chazar v'loy picha. Let a stranger praise you, not yourself. Don't say your own praises. Let somebody else say your praises. Nachri v'al svasecha. Let a stranger talk about you. It shouldn't come from your own lips. Kovet even. A stone is heavy. V'nei talacho. And a ladle full of sand is weighty. But the kas evil, but the anger of Hashem, which is caused by the full kaved mishneim, is heavier than both of them. Arzorius chema, the cruelty of wrath, vishetef of, and the destruction from Hashem's anger, generated by the activities of the foolish, who could stand up before the zealousness of Hashem when Hashem punishes the wrongdoers. Toiva, now this is a very hard pasuk to render. We're going to render it like the Pirish in the Oiz V'Hodar. Toiva toichakas megula me'ava. Good is the open rebuke that's given in love, because it's done misuteres. It's done privately. In other words, he's clear that he's rebuking you. He's not trying to camouflage it. But since it's done with love, it's done privately, not to embarrass you. Nemonim pitzei oyev. Trustworthy are the wounds of someone that loves you, because he's doing it to better you. V'natorais neshikas saine. Many are the kiss of an enemy, but those are only kisses on the surface. Really, he hates you in his heart. And now, for our experience of today, we learn the final parak of Mishnayos in Masechtas Bava Basra. So we finish Bava Basra. Get Poshet, a star that's an open star, like a normal star, Eidav Mitoicha. You write on the top of the star, and the witnesses are signed on the bottom of the front of the star. Umekusher. Now this is a special document called the Get Mekusher. A Get Mekusher was done because there was a problem with the Kahanim. Kahanim sometimes get angry easily. Amcha k'merive kayim. And there's a problem. If they get angry easily, they right away give their wife a get. And then they calm down, but then they can't take their wife back because a Kayin can't marry a divorcee. So therefore the Chachamim instituted that a Kayin should give a rather slow making get. The get is made where you write one line, then you leave the next line blank, and you fold the written line onto the blank line, sew it, and an aid signs in the back. Then you write another line, leave a blank line, and fold it again, and sign an aid in the back. And it has to be a minimum of 3 aidim. Now this is a technically difficult get to make, and the hope is that by the time the get is finished, before it's delivered, the Kayin will calm down and regret and not give the get. So umekusher, a sewn get, eidav me'achurav. The witnesses are signed in the back of the folds. Pashit shekasu eidav me'achurav, a get pashit whose witnesses are signed in the back. Umekusher, a tied get, shekasu eidav mesaycha, that the witnesses signed inside. Shneim psun, they're both no good. Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel, I'm a mekusher shekasu eidav metaycha, a signed, a folded get that the witness is signed inside, kosher, because you could open it up and make it a regular get. You can make it a regular get. The fact that there's a blank line in between is not a disqualification. Now here we're talking about a specific case. If, let's say, Shmuel tells Chatzkel, write me a get poshet. So the Tanakama holds, if he writes him a get kosher, it's no good, or vice versa. Shim Gamliel says it depends on hakol minig hamadina. If the minig hamadina is that you write either type, so he tells him one and he writes the other one, it's still good. Get poshet, the regular open get, eidav b'shnayim, has to have 2 witnesses. Or mekusher, if it's the sewn get with eidim on the back, b'shloisha, it needs 3 witnesses. Poshet shekas b'yed a get poshet that has 1 witness, or mekusher, or a sewn get shekas b'shneidim that has only 2 witnesses, shneim psulim. Now let's learn a little bit of the halachas of documents. Kasev by zuzin ma'ah. If you write 100 zuz, now 100 zuz are normally 25 slime. The inun slime esrin, which is 20 slime. Now 20 slime would be 80 zuz, but it says 100 zuz. So the din is that ein lo yela esrin. All he has to give is 20 sel. And when he said in the beginning that it's me'ah zuz, what he meant was, even though 100 would normally be 25 slime, but since he says 20 slime, we say if there's a contradiction, 20 slam and 100 zuzim, the yad balashtar is ala tachtoina. The hand of the one that holds the star has the weaker hand because he's the moitzi. And we say that I meant 100 inferior zuzim, which is only 20 slam. So that's all he has to give is 20 slam. The other way around is also true. Zuzin ma, the inun tlosin slan. He says 100 zuz, which is 30 sa. Now normally 30 sa, there's 4 zuz in a sa, it would be 120 zuzin. But here again we say yad balashtar la tachtaina. It's 100 zuz, which is 30 inferior slan. Ein lo elamana. Again, yad balashtar la tachtaina. Kesef zuz in the inun. It says in it silver zuzim, which are, and then the number is erased. The nimchak, since zuzim is plural, the smallest plural is 2. Ein pachas mishtayin. So he has to give 2. Kesef slan dinan, silver slan there are. It doesn't say the amount. The nimchak ein pachas mishtayin. So you have to give 2 slan because the smallest plural is 2. Darkon is din. Darkon is a golden coin. Darkon is dinon, and the number is erased. V'nimchak ein pachas mishtayin. You have to give 2 darkonos. Now, the star has the amount written above, and then it's reviewed at the bottom of the star before the signature. Kasbay milmala mona. If it's written above 100, or milmata, and before the signature it's written Mosayim, or milmala Mosayim, it's written above 200, or milmata mona, we always go after the conclusion before the signing. We go after what's written in the bottom in the review. Im kain, if so, why do we write it again on the top? Lama kaisvin as elyon. So that if something is erased on the bottom, we could reveal it from the top. If a letter is removed below, we reveal what the intent was from above. Kaisvin get liish, we could write a get for the husband, even though the wife is not there, because the husband could divorce his wife, bal karcha. We could write a receipt for a woman. When the woman gets paid the ksuva, she gives her husband the receipt. We could write the receipt for the woman, even if the husband isn't there, because the receipt is for the benefit of the husband. We have to recognize both of them. We don't want to risk that somebody is doing a conspiracy and having it written for a different person. The husband pays in both cases. He pays for the get because he's the one that initiates the get, and he pays for the receipt because it's for his benefit to prove that the ksuva is paid. We could write a promissory note for the one for the debtor, even though the creditor is not there, because it's for the benefit of the creditor. We don't write an OU note for the creditor, because the debtor has to agree that he owes him the money. Since he's getting the loan, he pays for the clerk to write the IOU note. We write a deed of sale for the seller, even if the buyer is not there, because it's for the benefit of the buyer. We don't write it for the buyer, unless the seller is there. Because it's the one that buys that is better off. It's better off to get a piece of real estate. So therefore we write the one who buys it is the one that pays for the deed of sale. Ein koisvin shitrei erison. Now shitrei erison is like what we call nowadays tnoim, where it's written what each side promises. Vinisuin, or you don't write the ksuva, which has both the obligations of the husband and also the karka that the wife brings into the marriage, unless they're both there. The chasen who gets most of the obligation of the ksuva, he pays for it. Ein kaisvin shitrei arisus v'kablanas. We don't write a sharecropping arrangement. Sharecropping arrangement is where the sharecropper agrees to work the field and to give the owner a certain percentage. A kablanis is where he promises a certain amount per year as a tenant farmer. Elamidashneim, they both have to be there, the sharecropper or the tenant farmer and the landowner. V'amekabel noisin sacher, and the sharecropper or the tenant farmer is the one that pays for the shtar. Ein kaisvin shitrei berurin, we don't write a shtar where both sides choose a judge. Each one chooses a judge, and then the two judges choose the third judge, and then it's recorded in a document. We don't write this recording document, the kol maaseh bezdin, or any of the transcriptions of the claims of the litigants, elamidash neim, except with the approval of both litigants, ushneim noisnin sacher, and they both give payment. Shimon Gamliel Omer, shneim kaisvin shnayim, each one we write the transcript of their claim for them privately. Lezela atzmai v'lezela atzmai. Each one gets a record of their claim. They don't want the other one to have a record of his claim. They should be able to study it and counter it. Mi shepara mixas chayvai. Let's say I owe Chatzkel $1,000, and Chatzkel has a shtar that I owe him $1,000. So I paid Chatzkel $500. So now I don't want to leave the shtar in Chatzkel's hand, because then he could collect again $1,000. V'hishlish eshtaroi. So I give the shtar in escrow to Shelley. V'amalei, and I tell Shelley, if I don't pay Chatzkel by Pesach, give him back the shtar, and then he'll be able to collect the full 1,000. If Pesach comes and I didn't pay, Rabbi Yossi says Shelley gives the shtar back to Chatzkel. Rabbi Yudai Malo Yitin, because I didn't mean it. I was sure I would pay by Pesach, and that's Asmachta, and Rabbi Yehuda holds Asmachta Loikanya. Let's say Chatzkel has a shtar that I owe him $1,000, and the shtar gets erased. He was outside, he left it outside, it was caught in the downpour, and it got erased. So, Me'idim alav Eidim, he gets witnesses to testify that know about the loan, or Balifnei Bezdin, they come before Bezdin, V'oisen Leikiyam, and they could make a new shtar. Ish Pliny ben Pliny nimchak shtarei b'yom Pliny, so-and-so his shtar got erased, and b'yom Pliny, the debt, the loan was given on this day, or Pliny Edav, and so were the witnesses, and they could write a new shtar. Now, Mishapara mixes chayve. Let's get back to the case where I owe Chatzkel $1,000, I pay him $500. Rabbi Yehuda Yachlef. Rabbi Yehuda says, write a new shtar, rip up the old shtar, and say I owe him $500. Now, in this case, Chatzkel would suffer a loss, because if he's writing a new shtar, he can only write today's date, and then he would only have a lien on my estate from today's date, while the first shtar had an earlier date. Rabbi Yossi said, why should Chatzkel lose his lien? Rather, Yichtav Shover. I pay him $500. He gives me a receipt for $500. That puts a burden on me that I have to watch the receipt, that it shouldn't get eaten by the mice. Rabbi Yossi says, poor Rabbi Weiss. I mean, he got a loan for $1,000. Why should we rip up Chatzkel's shtar and have him lose his lien? It's better that Rabbi Weiss should have to watch the receipt. Why should Chatzkel have a shtar written and only put on a later date? Eved Leiva Leish Malva. The Leiva is a servant to the Malva. Shnei Achin, there's two brothers. Echad Ani ve'echad Asher. One is poor and one is rich. V'niach lahem aviyam merchatz ubeis abad. Reuven and Shimon. Reuven is poor as a church mouse, and Shimon is rich. And their father left them a bathhouse or an olive press. Asan l'socher, if it was making money, it was rented out, the bathhouse had customers, the olive press had customers, then asocher lemtza. Then the poor man and the rich man divide the profits, which is very good for the poor man. Asan la'atzman, but if the father used it for his private use. Now the poor man doesn't want it for his private use because he doesn't have any olives to press in the olive press. He doesn't have any servants to warm up the bathhouse. He wants to force his brother to, make business out of it. No, but the brother could say, I'm only using it the way father used it. Get yourself servants, and bathe in the bathhouse. Find olives. You can't force me to change from the way our father used it. Now, two people that lived in the same city, and they both had the same name. Shem Echad Yosef ben Shimon, Shem Echad Yosef ben Shimon. They're both Yosef ben Shimon. If I produce that you, Yosef ben Shimon, owe me money, he'll say just the opposite. It's you that owe me money. So they can't present it one on another. Nor could somebody present against either one of them a promissory note, because the one of them will say it's the other Yosef ben Shimon. If somebody found amongst his papers a document of Yosef ben Shimon is paid up, then he can't collect from either of them. So Keitzad Yasu, what should they do in order that it shouldn't be a mix-up? Yishaleshu. So Yosef ben Shimon, he should write Yosef ben Shimon, the son of Dun, his grandfather. If both of them were Yosef ben Shimon ben Dun, then Yichtavu Simon. They should write like Yosef ben Shimon the tall. If they were both the same, they were both tall, then Yichtavu Kayin. Then they should write Yosef ben Shimon of the Shevet of Kayin, or of the Shevet of Yisachar. If they were both from the same Shevet, then go to a fourth generation. If somebody says to his son, one of the documents amongst my documents is paid up, and I don't know which one, then shtar is kulam pruin. He can't collect with any shtar, because that might be the one that was paid up. If somebody owes him 2 shtaras, so then he could only collect the smaller one. Hagadol perua, bakatan eina perua. Now, very long Mishnah over here. The Basra ends with a bang. If you give a loan to somebody with a guarantor, let's say I give Shelley a loan, and Yitz is the guarantor. So lo yipara min ha'arav. I can't go first to the guarantor to ask for the money. V'im omar, but if I say al menashe apara mimisha erza, that I could collect whichever I want to collect first, then yipara min ha'arav, then I could go to Yitzi. If Shelley has property, benkach or benkach, either way, even if I said I could collect from either one, lo yipar min ha'arav, I can't go to Yitzi, rather I take from Shelley's property. If a person is a guarantor for a woman for a ksuva, and the husband would divorce and go, yadirena hana. Oh, this is very interesting. The husband has to swear not to have benefits, so he can't take her back. Because otherwise, maybe the husband and the wife say, look, Yitzi is the guarantor, let's get divorced, and I'll collect the ksuva from Yitzi, and then I'll take you back. Maybe they'll do a conspiracy against Yitzi, and then take back his wife. If I give you a loan with a document, so if I give Shelley a loan with a document, now a document, buyers from Shelley could find a document with a title search, so they know that I have a previous lien. If Shelley doesn't have money, I could buy from buyers that bought from him after my loan, because I have a prior lien. But if I only gave it to him by witnesses, that doesn't have enough of a kail. I could only collect from Shelley's free property. If I presented just a document in Shelley's handwriting that he's chayiv to me, I could only collect from free property. I can't collect from mortgage property. This is very interesting. I gave Shelley a loan. There's an IOU note signed by witnesses, and after the witnesses it says that Yitzi is a guarantor. I could only collect from Yitzi's free property, not from people that bought from Yitzi, because he was signed after the two Eidim. I could collect from Yitzi's free property. Ben Nanas says, I can't collect from Yitzi at all. I can't even collect from Yitzi's free property. He said, why? He said, because I didn't give the loan because of Yitzi. If I was strangling somebody in the marketplace, and Yitzi walks there, leave him be. Potter. He's Potter. He's not responsible to pay. I didn't give the loan because of Yitzi. Here too, if Yitzi signed after the witnesses, I didn't give the loan because of Yitzi. What is a guarantor that's chayiv to pay? Where he says at the onset, give Shelley a loan, and I'll be responsible, then chayiv, because of his say-so, I gave the loan. If somebody wants to be wise, let him be occupied in the matters of money affairs. Baba Kama, Baba Metzia, Baba Basra. There's no greater corner of the Torah than Dinei Mamonos. It's like a spring that keeps on bubbling. We think about the amazing svarim that were written, the K'tzais and the Sivas. It's amazing. But right says Shias b'Dinei Mamonos, and if you really want to know Dinei Mamonos, Yeshamesh Shimon ben Anas. You should serve somebody like Shimon ben Anas. Hadnulach Mesechtes Bava Basra, Hadnulach Mesechtes Bava Basra, Hadnulach Mesechtes Bava Basra. Now the Gemara says, Hahum Mekusher da'asal Kame de Rebbe, a get that was tied, that was sewn, that came before Rebbe. Va'amar Rebbe ein zman bezeh. Rebbe says, I don't see a date on this. Amalei Reb Shimon bar Rebbe, the Rebbe, so Reb Shimon bar Rebbe said to Rebbe, maybe open up the sewn parts better. Shema ben Sharav Muvla. Maybe you don't see the date is absorbed amongst the tie. Palye, he broke it open. V'chazia. Now he thought that Reb Shimon bar Rebbe wrote the shtar, the get mekusher, and he wasn't pleased because Rebbe didn't hold of making a get kosher because it's too complicated. So Chader Chazia lebe Rebbe babishas. Rebbe looked with displeasure at Reb Shimon, his son. Amalei, so Reb Shimon defended himself. Lav anok kisafte, I didn't write it. Reb Yehuda Chaita kasvei. Reb Yehuda Chaita wrote the get. Now here again, Rebbe looked at him with displeasure because he said, all you had to tell me was I didn't write it. Why did you have to speak Lashon Hara on Reb Yehuda Chaita? Amalei klach m'lashoin hara hazeh. Zimna Abba Yosef Kamei. There was a time that he was sitting before his father. The Kaposik Sidra b'Sefer Tillim. Now Tillim has 5 different parts, and he was finishing one of the 5 parts. Amar Rebbe, so Rebbe said about the Tillim that he was reading from, Kama mayushur ksav zeh. How nice is this script? Amalei, so Reb Shimon Rebbe said, Lav anok kasavte, I didn't write it, Yehuda Chayota kasve. Yehuda Chayota wrote it. Amalei klak maloshin hara hazeh. So here again, Rebbe said, stay away from this lashon hara. So the Gemara is surprised. And the Gemara says, Bishlai Mahasam, where he said that it was Reb Shimon ben Chayta that wrote to get kosher, and Rebbe didn't to get kosher, and Rebbe didn't like to get kosher. Ika lashon hara. Elacha, where he said it's a beautiful tilim, my lashon hara ika. Says the Gemara Mishim to Rav Dimi. The Tani Rav Dimi Achvad Rav Safra. Rav Dimi, the brother of Rav Safra, said, don't say something nice about someone. Because when you say something nice, you'll come to say something bad. They'll start saying, do you know Shimon? He's such a good guy. Yeah, but do you know what goes on behind closed doors? Three sins a person is not saved from every day. Hirur Aveira, thoughts of immorality. V'iyun Tefillah, that a person expects that his prayers should be fulfilled. V'lashon hara, and evil gossip. So the Gemara says, Lashon hara is evil gossip. El avak lashon hara, the dust of lashon hara. Like Rashi says, saying, oh, so-and-so has a fire in his house, so many people will go to him. Am Reb Yehuda Amar Rav. Reb Yehuda says in the name of Rav, Roiv begazel, the majority of people are guilty of some theft, of robbing people of their profits. Umiyat barayis, a minority is with immorality. Vakol b'lashon hara, and everybody with sinful speech. Do you think sinful speech? The dust of sinful speech. And now we learn the Zohar. Now this is quite a remarkable Zohar. The Zohar is about loisolin pulas socher. Do not withhold the wages of an employee. And the Zohar says that it's really toying with one's life to withhold wages. Takazi, man denotal agra de miskana, one who withholds the payment of a poor man, kilu notal nafshe, it's like he takes away his soul, udinesh beisi, and because the people in his house will now be hungry, it's like he takes away the soul of the people in his house. Hu azir nafshayu, he makes their souls small by keeping them hungry. Kuchberichu azir yoimoy, he'll make his life small, Rahman al-Islam. The Azir Nafshe Mehu Alma, and make his soul small from this world. Now listen to the imagery of this Zohar. The Kol Inon Havolim, the Nafke Mipume Kol Ha'uyuma, the worker who breathes heavy when he does his work. All that breath, Kulu Soki Kamei de Kuchberichu, all that breath rises before Hashem, V'kaimen Kamei, and stays before Him. L'basar Salka Nafshe, afterwards, the soul of the employee, V'nafshayu de Inche Beise, and the souls of the people of his house that are hungry go up, V'kaimen Be'inu Navalim de Pume, and join the breath that he breathed the whole day. Ukedain, afilu is gezar alahu barnash, even if it was decreed on the boss, kama yomim, many days, v'kama tovin, and many good. Kulan misakumine, they're all uprooted, and mistalkumine, because he's withholding a person's wages. V'lo yoid, not only that, ela denafsha delay loy sol kaleila, his soul doesn't go up. V'hainu damar Rabbi Abba rachmanu l'sheizvinon, may Hashem spare us, minayu, from the fate of those that withhold people's wages, and from their insult. This is true even if the worker was a rich man, because with his work he puts his soul into his work, daika, which means anybody. Even if he's rich, and surely if the worker is poor. V'hainu davar Rav Amnuna Ovid, This was Rabbi Amnuna's practice. When a worker would finish his work, he would immediately give him his work. Take your soul, that you left by me, take your deposit. Even if the worker says, you know what, keep my salary. I want it to add up so that it'll become a lot. I want it to, accrue and give it to me at the end of the week. He didn't want it. He said, no, I'm paying you right away. I don't want to take your body as a deposit. I surely don't want to take a deposit your soul. The deposit of a person's soul, that's only proper to give to Hashem. Is it allowed to give it a deposit to another person? Yes. And not only that, once the boss gives it to you, then you could give it back to him, and it's not the same. That you could do. The wage of a worker should not stay by you overnight. It should be given before the sun sets. This we already learned. This is a sugya in Shas, in Nigla, that a day worker you should pay before the end of the night. So it shouldn't be left over until the end, after the end of the night. And a night worker you should pay before the sun sets. But now says Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, let me explain this in the Nister. The Nister. Leslach Yuma v'Yuma, there is no day, the loy sholta be Yuma ilah achara. There is no day that doesn't have in the celestial realm a different sphera. There's one day that's chesed, one day that's gevura. If he doesn't pay the wages on the correct day, it's like he blemishes that sphera, whether it's chesed, whether it's gevura, whether it's netzach. Be careful, pay in the right day. Make sure that the sun doesn't set. You don't want to be pogim in that sphera. That's because if you don't pay a worker, then when people's neshamas go up to Shemayim in the night, your neshama won't go up. Begin the nafshe loy salik. Because if you don't pay the wages, your nefesh won't go up. The salikahu nafshe de miskana, instead the nefesh of the poor man goes up. Or the anshe beise, and the people of his house to complain, come on the itmar. So loy sullen means don't cause that your soul should not go up in the night, but rather pay him in time. And now we learn the incredible musar of Rabbeinu Yaina. Tzorach tikkun ha'ma'uvos, you have to, if you're a Baal Tshuva, you have to correct that which you did crooked. Kasher yuchel asakin, whatever you could correct. Kinyan shenemar, vayara lekim es masayim, Hashem saw their deeds. Kishavu midar kamara, they repented from their evil ways. V'nemar v'yeshuva ish midar ka'ara, a man repented from his evil way. U'menachamas asher b'kapeim, and from the corruption which is in their hands. Now this is a cloud that we all know, that if you hurt your friend, even if you made up with Hashem, you're not forgiven until you make up with your friend. In matters between you and your friend, theft, v'chamas, and corruption, until you return the theft. If you gave him pain and you oppressed him, or embarrassed him, or spoke evil, there's no atonement until you ask him for forgiveness. V'chein amru zichroinu levracha, so did our rabbi say, ki afal pi shenosli demeit mashta or demeit tzar achra, even if you paid him back for his humiliation and for his pain, ein tzar aboishes v'akad nimchalei, it's not forgiven, ad sheyavakish mimeno, until you ask him for forgiveness. Shenem ata, Hashem said to Avram Avinu, to Avimelech, hashiv eishes ish, give back Sarah, the married woman, and also Kinavi, who he's a prophet, ask him for mechila v'yispal v'adcha, and then he'll pray for you v'chaya, and you'll live. V'roi l'balashuv v'lasas kain, and it's proper to ask for forgiveness kaidem avidui, before you confess, kedei sheyitzratze b'viduyav, so that your confession should be accepted. B'david HaMelech alav shalom be'isat tshuva kain also kaidem avidui. When he did tshuva, he did this before the vidui. Shenemar l'chalavatcha chatasi. Hashem, only against you I sinned. And I did what is evil in your eyes. That you should be righteous in your sentencing, and meritorious in your judgment. It's because I sinned against you. I only need your atonement, because if I sinned against somebody else, and I already asked him, and I asked for his forgiveness. And similarly it says by Yehuda, that Yehuda said, I'll bring back to you Father Binyamin, if not, I would be considered a sinner to my father all the days. Why? I will be permanently a sinner because my father will never forgive me. I will be a sinner to my father all the days. Now, before you Hashem I sinned. I didn't sin against a man. I didn't say many words against him. I didn't take from anybody anything that I should need to ask for his forgiveness and to return the theft. My kapara is dependent on your forgiveness. And therefore, Hashem, leman titzdak b'davrecha, therefore you will be declared righteous when you forgive me. Tizke b'shavtecha, you will be considered meritorious when you judge me favorably. Kedei laharos la'amim tzidkeisecha, to show the people your righteousness. V'goydel slichascha, and the greatness of your forgiveness, b'yom davrecha, in your sentencing, v'dincha b'eshavtecha, when you judge me, that you judge me and you declare me innocent, that shows your greatness and how you forgive me. U'l'shayn leman ki goydel achet, it means that because of the greatness of my sin, siba lahaida, this is a cause to let people know, goydel atztaka b'slichasek, the greatness of your charity in forgiving me. It's as if the beginning of the sin was Laman Yigola Chesed Hashem, to reveal the kindness of Hashem b'tzidkai and his righteousness b'slichasai b'yom shaftai, when he forgives me when I'm being judged. V'chamo kasmam uzav asu lehem atzabim, silver and gold, which they made into idols, Laman Yikaris, that they'll get cut off. So it's as if it says, because the cause of the idols is a reason to get cut off, it's because it was through the idols, therefore the siba of the chorus is the silver and the gold. Himsha adav kilu. Also, it's as if the making of the idols through the silver and gold caused us to get cut off. Now, O ye perish, there's another explanation. L'man zeh titzdak b'davrecha. Because of this, you are righteous in your sentencing. Ala pkuda v'hashalom. On the here. Laman zeh means, here it's rendering the Laman zeh, an interesting zeh. Laman zeh titzdak b'davrecha ala pkuda. Therefore, you are righteous with your sentencing on my sin. V'ashalom, and and you were, the end of the pasuk is titzdak b'davrecha and tiske b'shavtecha, and you will be declared perfect in your decision of judgment on me. V'ashalom means your payment. Shetiske b'shavtecha ke'sha'ata mishalem li, when you pay me and give me an einish for what I do. In other words, my fate and sentencing match the crime that I do. V'chein l'man yikares, l'man zeh yikares. Because of that tzavim, it's fitting that I should be cut off. Now, Valderech Harishon, according to the first version, that you're declared great because you forgive me for my big sin. Perish Rabbi Senu Zechron Levracha b'Medrash Tehillim al zeh mashal l'roife, to a doctor. Shero'a samaka, he sees that there's a very ugly wound. V'amar kama hamaka zayis. Oh, this is a terrible wound. Maka rabba ma'id. It's very ferocious. Amar achayla. So the sick person says, it's there to show how great you are, that you could even cure me from such a wound. V'aloi asher hukesi maka nechla. That which I get such a terrible wound, it shows the greatness of your medical prowess. To show your strength. So also, titzdak b'davrecha, the Rabbeinu Shalom is shown to be righteous with his sentencing, and tiske b'shavtecha, and meritorious with your judgment, that even for such a sin you forgive me. And finally, we learn, wow, we're over an hour. Finally, we learn the Rambam in Hilchos Ishus. Hisna Baal, remember we said that the husband has 10 commitments to the wife, and the wife has 4 commitments to the husband. Hisna Baal, shelo yischayev be'echad b'dadvarim, if the husband makes a condition that he shouldn't be chayiv with one of the 10 requirements, or the woman says that the husband shouldn't have one of the 4 rights that he has, hatnai kayim, such conditions are upheld, chutz mishloisha dvarim, except for 3 of the conditions, shein hatnai moil ban, a condition doesn't help. Whoever makes the condition is revoked. The promise of marital intimacy. The ikur ksuvasa, and the main ksuva, 200 for basula and 100 for almana, and the yerushasa, and the right to inherit her. The Rambam continues. Ketzad, his name isha she'ein la'alav aina, if he stipulates that the woman has no claim for marital intimacy, t'noya batal, the condition is revoked. V'chayiv b'nasi, he has to give her marital intimacy. Shari hisna masha kosev b'Torah, he made a condition of what is written in the Torah, and it's not a matter of money. V'eina t'nai mammon. On mammon, money, he could make a condition. Hisna yima lifchais me'ikuk ksuva, if he stipulates to give less than the ikuk ksuva. Oy shekosev lo masayim, he writes there 200 oy meya but then he writes because of that she already got part of it, and she didn't get it, he just wrote it. It's revoked. Whoever gives to a psul less than 200, or a widow less than 100, that's just promiscuity. Hisnes imay achashin nisa shelo yirashena. If she stipulates after they get married that he shouldn't inherit her, tna batal. The condition is cancelled. Even though that the inheritance of the husband of the wife is rabbinical, they strengthen this area like a biblical strength. The kol tanai should be Yerusha batal, and any condition in the Yerusha is batal, afal pishu mammon, even though it's a matter of money. Shenema ba lechukas mishpat, it should be for an everlasting law. Ubashara dvarm, but everything else, t'noi kayim, the condition is upheld. If he testifies that she shouldn't get food or clothing, or if they stipulated that he doesn't get the fruit of her property that she brings in, or any other such stipulation, t'noi kayim, the stipulation is upheld. We want to thank you all for joining us. What a chak, and have a wonderful evening.